All right. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today for Harnessing the Power of Traveler Segmentation. As I welcome you today, I wanted to share a few things as we begin, just about the presentation overall. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Amanda Tate, Research Manager with Tourism Nova Scotia, and I'll begin by sharing a few items of importance, including that our session today, as you know, will be 2 hours in length, ending at 3 p.m., and it is being recorded and will be available on our website over the next few days. As we go through the presentation today, you may have some questions, and I encourage you to add them in the chat where a colleague will be monitoring them so that we can follow up with you. Looking forward to how the next 2 hours are going to go. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to the traveler segmentation. We're then going to move into the new traveler segmentation and what those updates look like. Following that, I'll look at the TNS or Tourism Nova Scotia traveler segment. And finally, we'll conclude today with the next steps. Before we begin, I do want to take a moment to do our land acknowledgement, and I want to acknowledge that we are all gathered today in the traditional ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq, the territory known as Mi'kma'ki. So to begin, I'd really like to share what in fact is segmentation. So it is a concept and a word that many of you may have heard before. It is in fact a very powerful research tool that is used oftentimes and for many different reasons, particularly in terms of marketing. And what segmentation really does is it groups various travelers. In this case, they're grouped based on demographics. So it's such things as age, gender, or income. It can be grouped based on location, so their country of origin, where they're coming from, or their behavior, such things as what types of activities do they like to participate in? How do they spend their money? And finally, this particular segmentation also looks at the psychographics of travelers. So things like their emotional travel motivations. So as you can see on my screen, it takes a group of people, in this case for us, a bunch of travelers. And it really focuses that and looks through a lens at the common characteristics of each of the different groups of people and separates them out so that you can get a closer look at what each of those looks like and what the common characteristics of them are based on things like demographics, location, behaviors, or in this case, emotional travel motivations or psychographics. Now, what are some of the benefits of using traveler segmentation? There are several, and I'm going to go through them just to share with you. First of all, traveler segmentation really allows you to deepen your understanding of travelers, to help you develop your product or your service, and to attract different segment types. It also allows you to understand what aspects of your product or service appeals to different segment types. When we look at the tourism landscape overall and the resources that we're all working with, it really allows us to make the best use of our available resources, leveraging those national and provincial investment dollars. So it is a tool that allows some efficiencies to be had within Nova Scotia and along with on a national basis across Canada. The traveler segmentation shows you your market, your highest markets of opportunity for your targeted marketing efforts, and it allows you to have a common understanding of the traveler motivations within the tourism sector. And finally, one of the last key benefits is that it really helps you to understand the best way to talk to your target segment. And you're going to see that as we go through today and really be able to see all of the benefits as we go through. Now, many of you may recall or may have some knowledge of what was called a segmentation, and it is a well-established tool. Destination Canada has had a traveler segmentation, formerly known as the EQ or the Explorer Quotient Program. Now, this new traveler segmentation was launched in 2024, so the one that I'm going to be sharing more about with you today. Now, the continuity between these two traveler segmentations is quite extensive. As you can see here, on the left, the Explorer quotients that you may have been familiar with were the authentic experiencer, the cultural history buff, the cultural explorer, the free spirit, the gentle explorer, the no-hassler traveler, the personal history explorer, the rejuvenator, and the virtual travelers. So as you can see, the segmentation, the former EQ segmentation program, had 9 distinct segments. And now one of the key differences, or so I should say one of the key similarities, is that both segmentations are grounded in traveler segmentation, in travel motivations, or the emotional motivations. Now, the new updated segmentation that was launched in 2024 continues that insight. We have now a program that has 7 distinct traveler segments, the first being outdoor explorers, as well as the culture seekers, refined globetrotters, city trippers, simplicity seekers, purpose-driven families, and fun and sun families. Now, again, there is quite extensive continuity between the 2 segmentations, including their travelers' emotional motivations, which you see in the middle in terms of the overlap. It also includes the travel values, the social values, and the ideals. However, the new program is truly grounded in updated research with built-in destination functional benefits to the emotional travel motivators. Now, the current updated traveler segmentation program continues to deliver in-depth insights into the diverse preferences, motivations, and behaviors of both domestic and international travelers. And this segmentation delivers deeper insights into things like customer journey timing, trip triggers, and traveler psychographics, including responsible and sustainable travel, their attitudes, their interests, and the values that shape their decisions. Now, by leveraging these improved marketing strategies for greater impact and ROI, it will also shape the development of innovative and enhanced tourism products and experiences. I'd like to go into a little bit more detail about how, in fact, the updated traveler segmentation, what some of the additional aspects of it include. So here you're going to see on the left is quite an extensive list of 25 statements where respondents were asked to rate their level of agreement or their opinion about these statements to really get an idea of what, in fact, they truly value. So it's statements like to just enjoy myself and have fun, to have a fun social setting, to indulge myself and live in the moment, to feel connected with new people, to create new or take part in old traditions. And you can see the full list of the 25 statements that are asked on the Destination Canada survey. Now, what was then done was those 25 statements, thank you, were focused and translated into 13 key factors. And those are really the core motivators, the emotional travel motivators of traveler segmentation. So you can see that these 13 factors include fun, the establishment of new connections, it's traditions, bonding, escaping and relaxing, welcome and secure, familiarity, simplicity, expertise, importance, accomplishment, novel and authentic experiences, or adventure. So as you see these now and having been introduced to them, you're really going to see how these factors actually translate for each of the segments as I go about introducing them to you over the course of the next 2 hours. Now, in addition to focusing on the emotional motivations, we also look to include within this updated traveler segmentation the functional benefits of a destination. And what that really means is how well or what is the ability of the destination's attributes and product or service offerings to meet travelers' needs. So there are quite a range of those. Included in these functional benefits are things like landscape and scenery. That might be including access to natural wonders, stunning natural landscapes, offering a range of scenic viewpoints. We also look at a functional benefit being the tourism infrastructure. So the ability of the destination to cater to tourists. That could include anything from access, ease and ability to get around while there, the variety of places to stay or be entertained, so the product and service offerings. It also includes, in terms of a functional benefit, the cultural or the historic heritage of the destination. This includes the availability of offerings of services the inherent cultural and historic value of the destination. An additional functional benefit that we include is the availability of physical activities and leisure offerings. So what is there to see and to do there? Things like sports activities, walking, sightseeing, the various leisure offerings such as dining, package experiences, those types of things. And we see that those flow through into a functional benefit included in the culinary or the food and beverage options that are available at a destination. We also look at the functional benefit of affordability, and finally, the ability overall to cater to travelers' needs, whether it be having a destination that is family friendly, whether it caters to adults only, whether it's adult and friends and relatives, or adults with families. So those are really the key functional benefits of the destination. And both the previous slide of the emotional travel motivators and the functional benefits have really been integrated into this new updated traveler segmentation with updated research that has been conducted by Destination Canada to provide this new and improved and really enhanced, yet very continuous and functional traveler segmentation. Now let's look at Canada overall and really look at what is the proportion of the traveler segments and how they're distributed or dispersed throughout the Canadian market. So here on the left, we see that overall there is 68% of Canadians, or 47 million travelers, who actually participate or have indicated they participate in travel activities, and the way that the traveler segments break down. So as I introduced, the outdoor explorers are the first segment, and really in the Canadian market represent the highest proportion at 2 in 10, or 21% of travelers being outdoor explorers. We have slightly fewer being simplicity lovers, or 19% of the traveler population in Canada. We have city trippers accounting for 17% of the traveler population in Canada, while culture seekers are amounting to a slightly smaller percentage, so 16%, and refined globetrotters are accounting for 15%. We see that the family segments, two of them, the purpose-driven families, are dispersed approximately 7% through the Canadian market, and fun and sun and families account for 6%. So this goes to show and give you a really great visual of how, in fact, the traveler segments are distributed across the traveler population in Canada. So now that I've given you a little bit of information in terms of introducing what segmentation is and how it has changed and evolved with Destination Canada's update, we're going to look now at the traveler segments in detail. So I'm going to show you, we're going to go through and talk about their core emotional travel motivations. We're going to talk about the key insights about them, what you need to know about them. We're going to be talking about the types of activities they like to participate in, their ability or their propensity towards sustainable travel, and some other key insights in terms of planning as well. So let's get started and jump right in. First of all, looking at the outdoor explorers. So as you'll see by the information that is included on the slide here, outdoor explorers love adventure in the outdoors. Now, their core emotional travel motivations are adventure, novel and authentic experiences, and accomplishment. So you can see up top that they are adventurous explorers, and that is where they really get the thrill of their adventure. Now, they find unexplored landscapes exciting. They love challenge in terms of learning new skills, creating new traditions. Outdoor explorers are energized by physical activities, particularly in terms of also engaging with locals. They are, in fact, devoted to having a positive impact, and achievement for them is part of their personal growth. Now, to give you a little bit more of a sense of their self, their sense of accomplishment truly comes from pushing and challenging themselves in quite a wide variety of ways. Now, this doesn't only extend itself to physical activity, it extends itself in terms of learning new things, creating new things, within their own persona. Their personal growth and trying new things really is what constitutes adventure for them. So what looks like adventure to one may look very different to another, but it's really grounded in their need for being energized by activity, by learning, by growing themselves, by benefiting who they are as a person and growing. Now, these travelers, the outdoor explorers, they're one of the segments that really enjoy getting off the beaten path, discovering unexplored and lesser known places, and they are very much willing to overcome hurdles to get there. Now, this really goes to speaking about really tying into their emotional motivations for their adventure, their novel and authentic experiences. They are a segment of all of these segments who are really very welcoming of rugged terrains, challenges included. They see travel as an important milestone of their personal growth. They prioritize engaging with the unexplored. So the rugged terrains, the less traveled places, and that's even within a destination. So while they may be very much familiar with a destination, looking for those places and those unknown and hidden places within a destination is really what satiates and piques their curiosity and really goes a long way at getting to the core of why they are traveling. Now, ultimately, outdoor explorers travel to relax and unwind via adventure. So their challenge for personal growth and discovery just continues. They love travel of all types. They take all types of trips, whether that be domestic, whether that be international, business, or pleasure. They are definitely nature enthusiasts, and they're driven by a sense of accomplishment from overcoming challenges within the great outdoors. Now, activity and sports help us relax. So within all of their travels, you're going to see that outdoor explorers are very engaged in taking part of physical activity, moving their body, going places. It's their version of self-care. So it is something that they do not only while they're traveling, they do it on a day-to-day basis, and it isn't something that stops while they are traveling. They very much, as I said, like to get off the beaten path and are open to visiting places with less infrastructure and more challenging climates. They also prioritize unique, adventurous, free-spirited, and unexplored destinations. So, as you can see, outdoor explorers are very much tied to personal growth, seeking out adventure outdoors, as well as personal growth in terms of novel and authentic experiences. And that extends to cultural and historic locations as well. So, really about connecting themselves and growing, learning through those connections and accomplishing that learning within their self-growth. Now, when we look at outdoor explorers, they are a segment that does in fact prioritize sustainable travel. In terms of thinking about their travels, it is something that they are doing, and they're always thinking of their next trip. So they are a segment that does, in fact, plan well in advance. In terms of the destination that they're looking for, in terms of its functional benefits that I spoke to you initially about, outdoor explorers are looking for a destination that provides access to unique and natural wonders. They want a destination that is known for stunning natural landscapes, one that provides numerous opportunities for them to get outdoors and have outdoor adventures, and also provides opportunities to view wildlife in its natural habitat. They're also in their outdoor seeking, looking for that range of scenic viewpoints. It is really important, and we're going to see this as we look into the types of activities that they really are drawn to. Now, we see above at the overall insight that outdoor explorers are seeking mountains and backcountry, and they're not deterred by a challenge. We also see that guided tours provide unique and novel access to nature, and they're very attractive. Now, while outdoor explorers are in fact the most active of all segments in terms of their physical activity, looking for nature experiences, all types of sports activities, high and low intensity, and those that go from all season and all year round. So aligning with those strategic pillars of that destination all year round, 365 days of the year. They're looking to explore water from lakes, rivers, waterfalls, and even the oceans, hiking, but it's really critical to understand in their name of it being an outdoor explorer that while they are completely engaged in physical activity, their personal growth also is tied to that linkage to cultural experiences and attractions. So it is not only limited to the outdoors, it is very much inclusive of the outdoors, but also that connection to culture, to history, to those experiences and attractions that destinations have to offer. Now, what do outdoor explorers look like in terms of their demographics? When we look at the demographics of outdoor explorers, we see that they vary in age, ranging from young to old. Generally, they are employed full time. They tend to have an income that is middle to average. And generally, when we look at who, in fact, outdoor explorers are traveling with, we see that they're traveling largely as adults, whether it be with their spouse or partner, also to some extent with adult relatives or solo on their own. And that's something, again, about outdoor explorers that's really critical to acknowledge is that, again, because of their desire for personal growth, and that connection, that sense of adventure. They are individuals who are readily accepting of a challenge in that whether they're going themselves, joining another party, or going with their spouse or partner or a small group of adult relatives, they're open to trips that are either short getaways or longer holidays. So it's really all about piquing their interest and satisfying their thirst for adventure, for novel and authentic experiences, and for that sense of accomplishment and achievement to satisfy their core emotional travel motivations. So just a reminder that outdoor explorers, in fact, account for 21% of travelers in the Canadian market, and that is the largest proportion of the largest segment overall within the Canadian market. Now I'd like to introduce you to the second segment, a very different looking segment, but one known as the simplicity lovers. So simplicity lovers, who in fact are they? As I noted, they account for 19% of the visiting or the traveling population in Canada. So simplicity lovers at their core, they are peaceful, they are simple, relaxed, and familiar. Looking for having core travel motivations, emotional motivations of escaping and relaxing, looking for security, so that relaxation and familiarity in a destination that has a small town feel and that is really within their comfort zone. They're looking for simplicity. So they're looking for, they're traditionally very loyal to regular destinations, and they need safety and straightforward travel. So this is a segment that is really not looking for any surprises. They want to know exactly what they're getting, and they want to know what to expect. Now, overall, simplicity lovers are creatures of habit, seeking familiar, temperate destinations. They're returning to familiar places. They don't care about must-see attractions, nor do they care about the trendiness of a destination. As I said, they want simple, straightforward travel that offers no surprises. Now, these travelers aren't busy doers like the outdoor explorers that we just talked about, who are constantly engaged in that physical activities. Instead, simplicity lovers are looking to slow down, to take it easy, to take some much needed time to relax on their holidays. Now, while physical activity isn't a priority for them, they very much enjoy things like sightseeing, nature, low impact activities, and some casual sports like fishing and golfing, which we'll get into a little bit more on the following slide. They look for destinations that aren't too expensive. They're looking for those that are easier and quicker to get to that have a pleasant climate, one that they're familiar with, and those that are safe and not too crowded for much needed time to relax again. It's very much for them about escaping the usual and everyday life that they actually have. It's about unwinding, escaping the routine, and honestly, it's traditionally to spend time with family as well. Now, they seek peace, relaxation, and familiarity. They like to take it slow. They don't actually prioritize fitting in physical activities during their trips like outdoor explorers do. So that is one of the key distinctions that, again, while they do engage in some slow and low energy impact and low impact activities. They are not prioritizing physical activity while on their getaway. They are in fact loyal to regular destinations and creatures of habit who favor simplicity and serenity over the glitz and glamour, and they do immerse themselves in the culture. And that is so destinations that have that welcoming, friendly atmosphere, the small town feel, are very much aligned with simplicity lovers. Hard to reach destinations will not attract simplicity lovers. They want ease of access. They don't want to worry about how to navigate once they arrive. So having some well-developed infrastructure and being able to cater to their needs in terms of ease is very important to the simplicity lover segment. I will add that travel is very much a much needed escape, meandering at their own pace, and very much content to leave must-see attractions unchecked. So again, this goes to really not looking for those trendy destinations. They don't mind leaving that behind. They again really want to know what they're getting, and that ease and comfort, that familiarity that they so much enjoy and speaks to them. Now let's look a little bit more about what destination's functional benefits really are desired by simplicity lovers. So as we saw in terms of affordability, they're looking for a destination that is not too expensive, that it isn't too crowded, that it provides a personal sense of safety, or a sense of personal safety. It has a mild and pleasant climate. It's easy to travel to, language not being a barrier. So they're really a match with destinations that are relaxed, safe, peaceful, reliable, and familiar. So things that really connect to them. They're unconcerned with trendiness, and on that note as well, social media is not a priority for them. Because simplicity lovers are going to escape from the general routine of their life, they generally plan. However, they don't necessarily book many items or activities. And there are often times that they're driving from a distance to get to where they are going for an adventure. Now, their activities, as I mentioned, are low impact. These include things like sightseeing in nature, dining, and shopping. They like to get outside for walks. They'd love to see some wildlife. So seeing wildlife in their natural habitat, meandering through a village or a community, these are all things that really align with simplicity lovers. They do, in fact, desire nature experiences, shopping, local cuisine, and local restaurants, as well as the cultural experiences and attractions. So you can see for both some commonalities between the outdoor explorers and the simplicity lovers in terms of the types of activities that they're looking for. Even though they're a different level of intensity and engagement, they are still looking for those. So it's a really great opportunity in that there is ability to cater to each type of a segment. So when we look at nature experiences for simplicity lovers, it's things like sightseeing, going for low impact trail walks, maybe shorter, looking to see some wildlife or do activities that will allow them to connect with nature, also connecting with cultural experiences and attractions. Now, when we look at the actual demographics of simplicity lovers, we're going to see here that they are very much in a different stage of life than the outdoor explorers. So simplicity lovers, in fact, tend to be older, averaging more towards the 55 plus. And as such, we often see that the simplicity lovers are retired to a large proportion, but also if they're not retired, there is a large proportion of them that are still employed full-time. When we look at their income, it tends to be on the lower range, but it's not, again, they are travelers, so they have the spending discretion to use towards travel, but they can be on a fixed income given that they may be retired, but they do have budget for traveling. Because of that, they are looking for that affordability and looking for that consciousness in terms of their spending. Now, from a travel party perspective, we see that simplicity lovers are often traveling with their spouse or their partner. So they're traveling in small groups, whether it be just with one another, or they're traveling as adults with other friends or relatives largely. And typically they're looking at short getaways. So because they do have a various number of factors that are looking towards their travel excursions or their trips, they're looking at short getaways that are relatively close by, that are not difficult to get to, and that are easy to navigate as they move around the destination that they are involved in at the time, or the destination that they're visiting. Now, as I mentioned early on, is if you had any questions as you're going through, I encourage you to jot them down on a piece of paper beside you or within the chat for our moderators and my colleagues to monitor so that we can follow up. But now that we've seen that we have the outdoor explorers accounting for 21%, and really that physical, engaged, looking towards cultural experiences, attractions, but really a high energy audience. And then we see on the other end a very different level of engagement or energy in terms of the simplicity lovers who, while they're still looking for nature experiences and cultural experiences and attractions, they're looking for a much different level of intensity when it comes to the activities they're pursuing while they are, in fact, traveling. So let's move on now to the third segment that we're going to look at. And if you all recall, as I introduced them all to you, the next segment that we're going to look at is city trippers. And they are, in fact, exactly as their name is coined. So city trippers are independent, they're sociable, and they're trendy. They are very much attracted to urban destinations. They need lots of things to see and do. So there has to be a cluster of things where they can engage and in a very condensed or a very descript location that they're looking for things to see and do to fill their time. They love vibrant urban places with lots of things to see and do as they prioritize having fun, indulging, and living in the moment. Now, this traveler type tends to be primarily adults traveling together for fun getaways. We see in terms of what you really need to know about them, they love sharing memorable experiences with their friends and their loved ones. They like to be able to showcase those things on social media. So they often select destinations that offer fun and a social setting, and they really want to be able to fully indulge and live in the moment. So they are a group that is very much connected and present with themselves. So when they are traveling, it is for fun. They are looking to escape and relax the traditional or the routine of their usual day-to-day life. And when they spend that time relaxing, they're really looking to connect with those in their core group. So really looking to take that time to bond, to create memories, to do things and see things together and be present with each other and really kind of disconnect from outside of what their usual activities are. So we see that city trippers really like to enjoy vibrant nightlife and cultural experiences. They very much value safety and the ease of their travel. They really want destinations that they can be proud of and that they look forward to and sharing with others. So city trippers are absolutely those that are engaged with social media. We prioritize fun and social settings. As you can see here on the left-hand side at the bottom, they prioritize fun and social settings, seeking experiences that are worth sharing on social media. They like the freedom to explore without an agenda and disconnect from their everyday life. So while they do fill their time very much, they don't necessarily need it all set out for them. They are very capable of doing that on their own and really kind of flying by the seat of their pants in some ways by just moving from one piece to the next. Now, city trippers prefer the company of friends during travels to share their experiences directly, but their travel group is generally adult only. They are really drawn to the convenience and the easy access of trendy hotspots, really seeing those as being lifted up and important for them. and they really like to see and do as much as possible in a busy and vibrant destination. Now, I can't stress enough how much city trippers really love those vibrant urban destinations. They like to get away. Their core emotional travel motivations are as listed there on the screen. They love things like local cuisine, bars, clubs, dancing, and shopping that they can proudly share. And HRM's urban core is really an ideal destination for city trippers. They want to see lots, experience new cultures, but they're not driven by learning and diving into the history of the places they visit. So it's really all about the fun, the enjoyment, having the social time with no agenda, and just really getting away from their everyday life. So you're really going to see as we go through, and I'm sure that you can already see some of those distinct pieces about each of the segments and how they are differing from each other, but also how they are somewhat similar in some aspects. Now, when we look at city trippers overall, when we look at the types of planning, as I mentioned, they aren't necessarily looking to, while they do look for a lot of things to see and a lot of things to do while on their getaway, they do in fact plan their transportation a few months in advance. But as I said, they don't need to have it all laid out for them. So they may leave other items, whether it be their accommodations, whether it be their activity bookings, such as where to dine and the reservations. Those types of things are really things that they're quite fine to leave to as they approach closer to the trip, or even while they're on the trip, because there is that element of spontaneity in city trippers where they like having the ability to access quite a wide variety of things to see and do, particularly to do, and are very much able to indulge themselves when they are on those city getaways. Now, in terms of what in fact the functional benefits are that a destination is offering to city trippers, they are very much looking for a location that is easy to travel around once they're there. So, well developed tourism infrastructure, whether it be the ways that they can get around, so the ease of getting around the location. They're looking for places that are easy to travel to. So, they are definitely not like your outdoor explorers who are very able to go off the beaten path, or who are looking to get out and about on different trails. They are ones that are looking to stay within an urban core, looking for locations that are renowned for food and drink experiences, and also where language is not a barrier. So they want to be able to not only easily travel and get to these destinations, but they want to be able to communicate well, really want to be able to kind of go through their trip planning without a hitch. Now, in terms of the types of activities that are really attractive to city trippers, we see that festivals and events and shopping are most attractive. Also, things like we do see that things like amusement parks and zoos or aquariums could capture their interest, not necessarily here within the HRM urban core, but the nightlife, the cuisine, and the guided tours are very much a highlight for them. So in fact, in city trippers, while they do also look for some element of nature experiences, they are very much looking for local cuisine. They're looking for local restaurants. They're looking for shopping. They're looking for cultural experiences and attractions. They're looking for festivals and events and the nightlife. And I do just want to point out again, where we talk about nature experiences, for city trippers, nature experiences could mean things like traveling along a boardwalk. It could mean things. So it is, again, it's a very different type of nature experience. It could be going for a walk in a downtown, connecting to those cultural experiences and attractions that are available in an urban core. So it is really key to make the distinction that city trippers are very much attached to that urban setting, that vibrant nightlife, vibrant cuisine, lots of things to do. And that's one of those key distinctions that the segmentation really pulls out to define and differentiate city trippers from both outdoor explorers and simplicity lovers. Now, when we look at the demographics of who city trippers are overall, we see, in fact, that they do range in age, once again, between young and old. And we see them also being largely employed full time. Now, generally, they have a lower level of income, but again, it's really important to remember that as we look at the traveler segmentation, they are spending discretionary income on traveling. So it is one of their priorities. And so there is an element of across all segments that we know that they are funneling some of their discretionary income towards travel. And it's what, in fact, does that travel look like? So for city trippers, again, their income, it is lower, but it is available to them to travel. They are traveling with their spouse or partner or with adult relatives or friends. So it is very much looking like adult only getaways. They're very much just looking to disconnect from their life, whatever that may look like, to get away and spend that bonding quality time to disconnect, to get away from their routine. And largely they're looking at short getaways. So that really speaks to and is connected to the fact that, as we saw on the previous slide, where they're looking at a place that is nearby, they have that safety, the ease of travel, that's really easy to get there. So it's not going to take an extensive amount of time. As I mentioned, they may be driving, they're looking to book their transportation a few months in advance. So it could be that they're driving, it could be that they're flying. There needs to be that ease of access, that no communication barriers, and that ability to get where they're going, to have that short getaway, and really bond and connect to those emotional travel motivations. So in summary, city trippers are really that segment that are looking for fun, they're looking for friendliness, they're looking for the sociability, that like warm, welcoming, uplifting, really vibrant locations, really looking for that, being energized by the urban lights, the activities that they can take part in, whether it be dining, whether it be spending, time out at a nightclub or in the evening. And really, they're looking for those trendy destinations. So really, really can't really want to underscore that vibrant city and urban destination for city trippers. Okay, and I do just want to bring your attention back one moment to again showcase the fact that city trippers are approximately 17% of the travelers in Canada. So it is right on par in terms of being a large proportion overall in terms of all of the travelers. There's quite a distribution. Moving on now, I'd like to talk to you a little bit and introduce you to what is termed as the culture seekers. And these are distributed approximately 16%. So culture seekers as a traveling segment account for 16% or 7.6 million within the Canadian market overall. So there is, almost an equal proportion of city trippers and culture seekers. We see that there is quite a distribution like that. Now, who in fact are culture seekers? I'm sure that as we go through and as you are already looking at your screen, you're going to see elements of culture seekers and get a connection to them. What are their emotional motivations at their core? Once again, novel and authentic experiences. Now, what those look like to culture seekers are very different than what they look like to each of the segments that we've discussed so far, whether it be the outdoor explorers, the city trippers, the simplicity lovers. Culture seekers are looking for novel and authentic experiences that very much engage them with a local culture. So culture seekers are sociable, they're free-spirited, and they're very much independent. They take it upon themselves to really immerse themselves into a culture of the destination that they're visiting. They see travel as very much an investment in themselves, and they see it as, when we talk about unique, authentic experiences, it's any way for them to grow and to learn and to connect themselves, because connecting themselves to the culture and the history of the destination is really what inspires them. It grows them personally. It allows them to make connections that boost their own confidence and their own energy. So they very much are thinking about diversity, inclusion, sustainability, having open-minded connections with local people, um, enhancing their mind and growing themselves in terms of new perspectives and developing new understandings of culture, of history, of the people. Um, when they are when they are traveling, culture seekers are very, very sociable. They really want to make themselves, they want to feel like a local. They want to fit into the environment that they're in. And they do that by learning some of the language. Oftentimes, they'll do it before they even arrive at a destination. They want to learn about the history of the places they visit and truly experience the local culture in an authentic way. So it's really about engaging and immersing themselves and being one with the culture and the history of the destination that they are traveling to. When culture seekers are traveling, they want to bond and create lasting memories, and they really want, again, to discover those new perspectives. They feel their best when they are on vacation and again when they are highly active. So, as much as it may look somewhat different from an outdoor explorer, there's very much some overlap there because culture seekers are, in fact, quite likely as well to take part in activities, whether they be indoor or whether they be outdoor, because they very much are a high energy, looking to immerse themselves and have those authentic experiences. So these are a group that we would see that in making connections while they're doing an activity is very, very important. While they're being engaged and while they are energized by that activity, they seek that out. They are dedicated to responsible travel, ensuring that they respect the environment and engage with local communities. So we can see here that culture seekers are very much going to be connected to, we'll see later on that they can very much connect to Nova Scotia, offering those novel and authentic experiences, offering those connections to the local culture. And also, culture seekers are looking for that familiarity. So it's different from, I think it's really important to note here that the difference between simplicity lovers and their need for familiarity and culture seekers' need for familiarity is earlier, simplicity lovers are looking for that familiarity of whether it be the climate or the location, being familiar with those kind of really comfortable locations that they feel connected to. That's very different for culture seekers. The familiarity they're looking for is the familiarity where they can become familiar and create a new connection with a destination itself. So that familiarity to culture seekers looks very different than familiarity to simplicity lovers. They are looking to become more familiar and become and actually immerse and integrate some of the learnings of new cultures and new pieces of history into their own kind of sense of identity. So they're really looking to become one and again experience a local culture in an authentic way. Now, other things that you need to know about culture seekers, they take pride in facing challenges and they value the feeling of accomplishment when they try something different. So that is something that they share with outdoor explorers in that they really like to have that sense of accomplishment and that sense of achievement. And they have no problem at all and are very excited and engaged with seeking out new engaging opportunities that are authentic for them. Now, as I said, they try to learn the basics of a language before they travel so that they can actually connect with the new people and learn something new. They take ownership, and this is a really critical piece of information, a really valuable insight in that culture seekers take ownership over feeling welcome in a destination. So they ensure that they travel responsibly and that they are going to engage with communities. We often see, I'm thinking of Nova Scotia overall, and we think about things like hiking or And we see packing in and packing out, that if a culture seeker was going to be visiting a destination, they are very much thinking about sustainability. They're thinking about what they bring, leaving, taking with them the knowledge and the authentic connection, but very much respecting the culture, the heritage, the sustainability, and the preservation of the locations they are visiting. And that leads us really nicely into, again, looking at culture seekers are another segment that are in fact very engaged with prioritizing sustainable travel. So we're going to see here that when we talk about the types of activities that culture seekers are looking at, they like exploring popular places, and they also like those less traveled and independent experiences, but they very much like to engage with cultural attractions and explore the history and heritage. So we know in Nova Scotia that we have the history, the heritage, the cultural attractions that culture seekers are very much looking for and aligned with. Now, when it comes to planning, as I mentioned, culture seekers are ones that may in fact look to learn a new language. So in Nova Scotia, we have opportunities such as learning different languages, whether it be Acadian, Gaelic, Mi'kmaq, all kinds of different languages. And they are a segment that would look to opportunities to engage in those different languages. Now, in terms of their planning, they generally plan within 4 months of their trip, and they use many different information resources. So they are a segment that looks for information, and they're looking to obtain it. Now, when we look at the actual functional benefits of a desired destination, we see that culture seekers are very much drawn to destinations that have the functional benefits of a rich cultural and historical heritage. They are, as I mentioned, looking for destinations that are open, that are accepting, that are sociable, that are charming, and that are free-spirited. So they very much are drawn to those. They're looking for destinations with the functional benefits of being inclusive and tolerant. So very much needing open-minded, respect for other cultures, other identities, and really that tolerance for that open-mindedness and being able to be accepting and inclusive of all of the different types of people. They are looking for benefits that offer a variety of museums and historical sites, also those that provide a variety of local festivals and events and have a thriving arts and music scene. So certainly culture seekers are ones that within Nova Scotia, we see the opportunity to entice them with things like the thriving arts and music scene from all points of the province. And they're also looking for a destination that has many hidden gems. So one that offers an energetic and a dynamic cultural scene. Now, as we can see here, the types of desired destination functional benefits really lean into what types of activities that culture seekers are drawn to, or those that they really want to participate in. We see that topping the list of their top desired activities, that they very much want to be involved with cultural experiences and attractions. And those could be any range of things from historic sites, it could be museums, it could be attractions that are, whether it be painting, whether it be art galleries, whether it be all types of various different types of art, from storytelling, from all different aspects of it. We see that they are very much inclined to want to participate in museums and historical attractions with local cuisine and local restaurants, again, wanting to draw the local aspect out and make that connection with the local destination that they are going to. They are also very interested and very much desiring of nature experiences. The culture seekers are ones that nature experiences would be very much immersive in that not only would they want to participate in an activity, but they would also want to be learning while participating in and engaged in that activity. So these are a great audience, the culture seekers, for doing things like having an activity where they are growing themselves and who they are in terms of learning, whether it be giving them an opportunity to learn about the site that they are visiting, learn pieces of a language, learn pieces of the culture, the history, and also integrating some of that as a tradition within themselves as well. Because culture seekers are another segment that also integrate their learnings into creating new traditions for themselves personally or even with others. We also see that culture seekers are very much interested in a dynamic nightlife. So having those vibrant offerings that are available to them is something, once again, that is incredibly important to the culture seekers. And you can see that there's an opportunity to offer that to culture seekers in Nova Scotia, just like there's opportunities to attract each of the other segments that we've talked about and that we've really seen go through. So we've talked about the outdoor explorers, the city trippers, the simplicity lovers, and now the culture seekers. So we really see that there is elements of Nova Scotia that translate into not only their top desired travel activities, but also their desired destination functional benefits. Now, as I mentioned, culture seekers do very much prioritize sustainable travel, respecting the locations, the history, the people, the culture of the destinations that they're traveling to. Now, in terms of what they look like, in terms of the demographic profiling, we know that culture seekers, again, their age varies from young to old. So they're pretty much evenly distributed throughout the age categories. We know that they are employed generally full-time, and we also see some element of them being self-employed, a much smaller percentage, but generally they are employed full-time, and they have a middle to an average income. So generally they are in that middle to average, and as I mentioned throughout, and I will reiterate, is that the income, each of the segments, because they are travelers, they spend their discretionary income, or at least part of it, on travel, and culture seekers, because of their personal growth, they very much see their learning and travel as a personal investment in themselves. Now, culture seekers are largely traveling with a spouse or a partner, and they're also very, very capable and well-intentioned to travel by themselves. Again, they do not take issue with any type of challenge. So they're willing to overcome hurdles. That might be learning new things, such as learning the language. They don't mind less traveled destinations, even though they are still looking for those, hidden gems. They're looking for that culture and being part of a destination. Now, culture seekers, they take both short and long trips. So we see that there is an opportunity for them to have both short getaways or longer trips. And we'll see that as we look more and as we move into different learnings about the culture seekers. So far I've gone through 4 different segments. We've talked about culture seekers most recently, just right now. We've also talked about city trippers, simplicity lovers, and we have very much talked about the outdoor explorers. And I think you'll all agree that as you go through, you're seeing some consistencies throughout them, but also some very distinctive differences about the way that they want to engage in a destination, or the way that they want to experience a destination, and what gets at those core motivations for them in terms of what sparks or piques their interest for their emotional motivations and why they're going to travel. Now I'm going to go further and introduce you to some more segments as we've gone through. So as I've mentioned, we've looked at 4 overall, and Now I'm going to go into a different type of segment and what we call the refined globetrotters. And the refined globetrotters are one of the segments, and I'll say the key segment, that is very much the luxury traveler. The refined globetrotters, in fact, are experienced travelers where travel is their actual top spending priority. So, above all else, refined globetrotters are traveling. They indulge themselves in world-class destinations. They're looking for gourmet dining and exclusivity of experiences. That's really exactly what they're looking for. They want world-class destinations. They want exclusivity at all stops. And really, because of the fact that they have, you'll see in a few moments as I go through, they have the income to support their travel. They really like to travel in style. So they have the income to do that because it is their top spending priority. You see here that refined globetrotters, not only do they indulge in world-class destinations and have exclusive experiences, but they are seeking that authentic charm of new places. So they want to travel in style, which means they need very well-developed tourism infrastructure and needs. They're looking for things that are curated for them, all-inclusive packages that have specific exclusivities that not everyone else can either afford or access. They're looking for guided tours and curated experiences in any types of activity that they participate in. They want to be able to immerse themselves, whether it be in the culture, whether it be in the history. They even look to immerse themselves in museums, because really what they're looking for is to fulfill their emotional motivations of novel and authentic experiences. We've seen that come up throughout almost all of the segments. But what novel and authentic experiences means to refined globetrotters is that exclusivity and that world-class luxury. They're looking for security and also bonding time. So we see that, yes, refined globetrotters want to experience luxury and indulge in world-class experiences, but they're not thinking about their budget. They want to join tours. They want to work with travel agents to ensure a smooth and enlightening travel experience. And when they are traveling, they want to do that in a place that they feel secure in, a place that they feel safe in, and a place where they can actually bond with those in their travel party, which we'll speak to shortly. Now, in terms of critical pieces of information and insights that you need to know about refined globetrotters, again, travel is their number one spending priority. They have the flexibility to travel at any time of the year because generally their children have left or grown up. They are traveling as adults generally, which we'll talk about. When we look at them, they're planning how they're going to see history, museums, and architecture of a destination. And that's really paramount to them. So again, that's speaking to the novelty and the authenticity, but really the exclusivity of any types of experiences that are going to be curated and developed for the refined globetrotter segment. Now they're looking for all of those in every aspect, and that goes not only from their experience, but also from their dining, as well as their shopping, and through to their accommodations. Now, as I mentioned, it is their top spending priority, and they have the income to travel in style, but they also travel frequently, and they're looking for those world-class, luxurious experiences and high-end destinations. They're enjoying fine dining. They're enjoying local fairs that are exclusive. They enjoy wellness and spas as part of their travel. They are indeed looking still to learn about the history and the culture of the places they visited, as I mentioned, and I'll repeat, enjoying museums, historic sites, and monuments. But again, they do this all through the entertainment and being guided through exclusive tours and experiences, because they are not willing to share that with the general population. They want those exclusive experiences that are curated and tailored to their their luxurious tastes. Now, refined globetrotters are absolutely not get off the beaten path travelers. They prefer destinations that offer those all-inclusivities, those well-developed tourism infrastructures to support their curated experiences. Now, there is opportunities for the refined globetrotters if there is an experience that is very much curated to them. It's very much in making sure and ensuring that all of the marketing, all of the details are very well thought out. They are very fine-tuned. They are speaking to that exclusive, authentic, world-class experience that they can enjoy and take part in. And that is really the way that the refined globetrotter is attracted to any type of destination. Now, the types of destinations that refined globetrotters are seeking out in terms of their destination functional benefits, as I mentioned, they very much do, in fact, like to immerse themselves and be connected to cultural and historical heritage, particularly in terms of the architecture, in terms of the artistry, the cultural aspects of a destination. So they're looking for destinations that offer rich cultural and historical heritage. They're looking for benefits, the destinations to have the benefit of being known for their stunning natural landscapes and having a variety of museums and or historical sites. They're looking for destinations that have famous attractions and being renowned for food and drink experiences. They're looking for, as I said, offerings of all-inclusive resort packages, and not the all-inclusives that that are going to attract families per se, but instead that small travel party and exclusive experience. We're going to talk a little bit more about the demographics of who refined globetrotters are to help you understand that better. But refined globetrotters very much seek out luxury dining, luxury shopping, luxury accommodations. So when we think of refined globetrotters, they very much are integrated with luxury, and that is in fact what is going to attract them, along with the well-developed tourism infrastructure. Now, when we look at the overall insight of the refined globetrotters, we see that local cuisine and overall relaxation through wellness experiences are in fact a priority. So they are willing and attracted to things like the wellness spas, the spas of those types, any type of self-care that really involves indulging and investing in yourself, and that, promotion of health experiences, wellness experiences. Those are things that refined globetrotters are in fact attracted to as well. We see that they like to explore historical cities through guided tours or multiple stops on a cruise. They are looking for top desired travel activities that we see in terms of, again, cultural experiences and attractions. And we see that Nova Scotia has some of those to offer. We see that museums, historical and archaeological sites are other pieces of what they are attracted to, as well as the travel activities of local cuisine and local restaurants, of guided tours, and also of city tours and nature experiences. Now, certainly we have indicated, and I have shared, that refined globetrotters are in fact very much equipped to look at that world-class luxury destinations that offer exclusivities. And while Nova Scotia does offer some of those, when we talk about refined globetrotters, we have to be very conscious of the fact that there are a wide array of travel destinations that we do in fact compete with. And the refined globetrotters are looking at the globe overall when they're considering their travel destinations. So it is very important to be conscious with the refined globetrotter segment about how they could be attracted to Nova Scotia, if that would be the best segment to target. There are elements of Nova Scotia that are very much aligned with the Refined Globetrotter segment. Also very much needed to take into account the actual look at the fact that they can travel anywhere in the world that they are looking to go. So there is competition for attracting this segment of traveler that would need to be very, very focused and very exclusive in order to meet all of the functional benefits that they are looking for in a destination that they would like to travel to. Now, in terms of demographics, Refined Globetrotters, once again, their age ranges from young to old. Again, they are employed full-time. As I said, travel is their absolute top spending priority. So they have an actual, it says that their income is middle to average, and it leans into the higher income segment as well, because they do have the ability and the discretionary income to spend on travel. Generally, Refined Globetrotters are traveling with a spouse or a partner, or they're traveling solo. Again, where they may be focused on looking into having that spa, health or wellness getaway, or looking at traveling either by themselves or with a partner, really to go and do those things that they like to do from a travel perspective. Generally, they are looking at a range of trips. It could be from short, it could be from long. So really a mixture in terms of trip duration for the Refined Globetrotter. Ultimately, as I wrap up and summarize the Refined Globetrotter segment, it's really important to, again, recognize that Refined Globetrotters are looking at those destinations that are considered to be authentic, that are considered to be charming, they're considered to be luxurious and unique, and more towards the luxurious, world-class, exclusive. So really looking at any destination, including within Nova Scotia, if we were to talk about that, really looking through the lens of a Refined Globetrotter as luxury, world-class, and exclusive. So those are very much the key functions that will attract them to bond and meet those emotional motivations for them in terms of having those novel and authentic experiences, the secure and the bonding experiences. And just to point out once again, just a reminder that Refined Globetrotters in fact account for 15% of Canadian travelers. Okay, so as I'm going into the last 45 minutes or last 40 minutes of our webinar today, I'm moving away from looking at those segments who are, traveling together as whether it be with a spouse or a partner, whether it be traveling solo alone, or whether it be traveling with adult friends and family. And now we're moving more into the two segments that we're going to explore and be introduced to that are family focused. And there are two segments that I'm going to discuss in the next 20 minutes with you. The first being purpose-driven families, and the second being the fun and sun families, which we'll see coming up. Now, purpose-driven families is the first of these two family-oriented segments. So in the total of the 7 segments that the updated traveler segmentation provides, we see that 2 of those 7 segments are in fact dedicated to family units, while the other 5 segments are dedicated instead and focused on those who travel in alone, with a partner or a spouse, or with adult companions, whether that be friends or family. Now, purpose-driven families account for a much smaller percentage of the traveling population. So you can see on the lower right corner that purpose-driven families actually account for 7% of those traveling in the Canadian market. Now, who they are as an actual segment, we see that purpose-driven families are ambitious and conscientious. They, of course, are looking for kid-friendly travels, but they're looking for kid-friendly travels that are unique. So they do, in fact, love trendy destinations, and they're looking for hidden gems that support local cultures. But travel is really a shared family accomplishment and a learning journey for each of them. So we see that as the first of the two family-oriented types, while they enjoy a wide range of kid-friendly travel activities, they very much incorporate nature. They very much are responsible travelers that are committed to minimizing their impact on the environment. And this really speaks to the ambitiousness and the conscientiousness of them as a family segment. Now, for purpose-driven families, travel is an opportunity to share quality time together as a family, to bond through their shared experiences, and to learn together about the places that they visit. We're going to see in a little bit that they are younger, and we'll talk more about that. And because of that, these travelers really seek inclusive and tolerant destination, and they offer the opportunities. They want destinations to offer opportunities to participate in things like Indigenous activities and hear stories from Indigenous people. And at the same time, they're looking for those unique destinations that they can share on social media to have their friends say, wow. So they are really looking for that ability to share and connect. Now, in terms of what emotionally motivates the purpose-driven families, we see towards the middle and the bottom of the slide that it's bonding opportunities. So again, they are going as a family unit. They're looking for novel and authentic experiences and connections. And that really ties into the summary that I've just spoken to you about again. So novel and authentic experiences for purpose-driven families means getting out in nature, exploring, making connections with the culture, with the history, with the hidden gems. Things like, traveling together. They value learning, engaging with local cultures, and exploring the history of the destination. So anywhere from from one end of Nova Scotia to the other, there are opportunities that would actually pique the interest of purpose-driven families, despite the fact that 7% are within the traveling population. So it is a smaller segment overall. Now, for purpose-driven families, they use travel specifically to bond and create those memories. So that again is their core emotional travel motivation, that they want to bond and create memories together as a family unit. And they'll take a few challenges on to achieve that. Now, in terms of what those key things are to know about them, again, purpose-driven families, as you'll see, they seek out socially responsible, impressive new experiences, and they are really taking pride in their destination choices and also in the effort that it takes to meet them. So again, even in terms of trip planning and their trip excursions or their trip overall, purpose-driven families are looking at it as an experience to bond together. And they are also looking for those experiences that can be created, that they overcome that challenge and do it together, because that's part of what the offering is for purpose-driven families. Now, what does being trendy mean for a purpose-driven family? It means for them that they want to actually set the trend in their travel choice and the behavior. So they are the ones that are connected to social media and that are sharing their experiences and actually, trying out new destinations, prioritizing sustainability and responsible travel, and setting an example for those who look to them within their social media, within their circle of friends, within their circles of family or their professional circles. They are looking to the purpose-driven families to see what in fact they're doing. So they are really about setting the trend as well so that others can follow. And they really like to lead in that aspect. Now, purpose-driven families, the parents of them, really value being able to provide these experiences to their children. And they also have an appreciation for how it allows us to demonstrate their success to others. So there's an intrinsic value or a need that is being met by the purpose-driven families that shows them that they're able to create that connection for others in a novel and authentic way, and they really take that pride of ownership for themselves. It's a part of who they are at their core, and does give them that, I'll say, that boost in confidence as well, in allowing them to establish that connection for others. Now, purpose-driven families really as well look to be exposed to nature. They like exploring the outdoors and really immersing themselves in nature. So all of those are core and fundamental needs. Now, purpose-driven families also are active travelers, as I mentioned, whether their kids getting out, whether it's together with their kids, or whether it's traveling as a multi-generational family group. They are looking and open to all kinds of experiences where cost and difficulty are generally not deterrents, and they are absolutely happy to take part in nature, whether it be out on the water, whether it be in the woods, or whether it be in winter. So we know that purpose-driven families, as much as they are a smaller segment, that they do in fact have aspects of them that would meet several of the strategic pillars that have been outlined in terms of the strategic, the destination year-round, and offering those shoulder season opportunities as well. Now, in terms of purpose-driven families, they are busy parents. So it is one of the two family units. So as busy parents, they aren't always going to be planning in advance for their short trips. They do, in fact, take short trips. And as you can imagine, both for purpose-driven families, for both travel segments that are related to families, some of their decisions related to travel are very much surrounded by the fact of what their children's schedules are. So as purpose-driven family parents are in fact quite busy, they will plan a few months out for longer trips, but on their shorter trips, they are definitely being more spontaneous and traditionally not taking as much time to plan out that getaway. They are looking for destinations, of course, that are kid-friendly. They're also looking for those that have rich cultural and historical heritage and that offers natural landscapes in close proximity to city amenities. And they are looking for family experiences and trips and destinations that are both inclusive and tolerant. And of course, that goes to the aim of being children friendly, having that focus towards the tolerance and the inclusivity, but not only for their children of all the different cultures. And again, really the purpose-driven family, it's really, if we look to the name of the segment, they have that core purpose, and that is to instill the value of travel within their family, not only to connect, but to create those novel, authentic learning experiences to really develop their family unit together and to develop their children's learning as well. Now, purpose-driven families, it is no surprise that they also prioritize sustainable travel, particularly in that they're looking for those inclusive and tolerant destinations, but very much have respect and authority for the destinations that they're visiting. When we look at the top desired travel activities, we see that they like to explore the outdoors. They want to find beaches, waterways, lakes, and rivers, and they use outdoor sports that they will, in fact, try. They want to expose their kids to the local culture. They include that in festivals and events. So the various opportunities, and particularly where there is an opportunity for events and activities to provide purpose-driven families with quite a vast array of what a cultural immersion would be, they are very much open to that. Now, their top desired travel activities include family-focused attractions, and those could include things like zoos and aquariums, but all types of other things. We look at all of the other offerings that might be available. They are, in fact, very eager to participate in nature experiences. They can be physically active and, again, willing to participate in outdoor sports, and those could be quite a range of them, from water to winter-based sports. We see that they will absolutely participate in water activities, whether it be on beaches, lakes, or rivers, and even in that terms of exploring waterfalls. Our purpose-driven families, they're looking for cultural experiences or attractions to attract themselves, or sorry, to visit. And they are also looking to try that local cuisine. So again, we see that purpose-driven families, it's all about integrating part of their learning and their authentic experiences into their whole family's experience and within their family unit. Now, in terms of demographics for purpose-driven families, we see that the age range is from young to middle age, and we see generally that they are employed full-time as well. Now, again, noting that they are busy parents and largely employed full-time in the middle, so to the young to middle age, we know that they have an income that is average generally or to the middle. Again, they do spend some of their discretionary income on travel, seeing it as part of a growing opportunity for their family. It's no surprise that as a travel party, they're traveling spouse and partner with their children, and they take both short and long trips. Now, overall, as I mentioned, purpose-driven families are looking for destinations that are caring, that are passionate, and that are free-spirited. Because really what they're looking for is a destination that has the functional benefits for them to get away with their family, to create connections and bond while being in a very kid-friendly, children-focused environment that shares the opportunities for them to teach and learn and build with their children, whether it be things about the culture, the history, and that goes through all of the different activities that they are participating in, from those that are outside and being physical to those that are that would appeal to culture seekers as well, in terms of having that learning partnered with the activity level. So that's our first of the two family segments. And then we move forward with the second segment. And this is the fun and sun families. And right below, you can see the beach picture, looking for that family segment and how they like to get away. Now, the fun and sun families, as I said, is the second family segment. And as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, they are again a smaller proportion distributed throughout the Canadian travel market. And they actually amount to 6%, or 1.2 million travelers are actually defined as being the fun and sun families. Now, what in fact do they look like? True to their name, fun and sun families, they're quite different from purpose-driven families, because purpose-driven families really have that core, as I mentioned, of learning and bonding and connecting. Now, certainly we have some of those similar motivations for fun and sun families, but their key criteria in terms of their emotional motivations are to escape and relax their everyday life, bond with their family, and to just have fun. So for fun and sun families, they prioritize relaxation and escape over learning and exploration. And that is one of the fundamental differences between purpose-driven families and the fun and sun families. The fun and sun families are all about escaping and relaxing, bonding, and having fun with no real ulterior motives or no need to grow or challenge themselves in a way of learning about cultures or history. Now, for fun and sun families, travel is an opportunity to escape from their everyday life, to focus really on creating those lasting memories together as a family unit. Now, you can see above that they love getting away together as a family, and they are looking for affordable, kid-friendly getaways. Fun and sun families really admire and aspire to stay in their comfort zone. They might try a new sport or a new culture, but in general, they're looking for familiarity. They're looking to participate in those activities. They're guided by their children's interests. And as I said, they're driven to create lasting memories together. Now, Fun and Sun families are very much drawn to well-known beaches or local spots that have great communication standards. And when I talk about the great communication standards, I'm talking about things like ease of access, so signage, the ability to get there, really well communicated in terms of timing activities, what's included, what's involved, so that they can share that information and really kind of know what to expect, because they are looking to stay in their comfort zone. Fun and Sun families seek comfort. They're looking for entertaining destinations to escape everyday demands and enjoy that quality time, where they prioritize value, convenience, and relaxation, choosing popular, easily accessible hotspots. Their priority is creating memories with their core travel group, though they do appreciate and are open to exposure to new and diverse cultures. So, Fun and Sun families, while they're looking for those affordable kid-friendly destinations, they're looking for that even if luxury is within their reach. So even if there's the possibility that they could do the luxury, they're still looking for affordability and kid-friendliness in that. Their trips are really escapes from their everyday life. They want to create those lasting memories. They choose activities, they're easy, fun to do. Like I said, they might try something new. And in terms of planning, we're going to look at it a little bit more, but they're planning, and this is annually. So they have their annual vacations. They take those and they do the planning months in advance. They rely on review sites. They rely on apps, social media, and recommendations. So they have a very targeted approach to where they look for information when planning their annual holiday. We see that the Fun and Sun families, they mostly travel within Canada, and they often explore popular destinations in British Columbia and Ontario with dreams of international trips, though not always able to take them. Now, in terms of Fun and Sun families, family-focused attractions are always their number one priority. We know that those attractions include things like amusement or theme parks, zoos and aquariums, or science centers. They also really like to participate in shopping, and would really like to do that when on. Again, it's that when we talk about shopping, it could be things like shopping for souvenirs, but it's just that, ability to get out and do that together. Now, Fun and Sun families, much of their outdoor activity is spent in the water, such as beaches or familiar beaches, but they do also like to explore mountains and nature parks. They look into such things as water sports, cultural experiences or attractions, as well as nature experiences and local cuisine. Now, again, I pulled out the fact that we have a couple of destination functional benefits, and I'll look at that a little bit more deeply right now, but we see that for Fun and Sun families, their desired destinations functional benefits are really about being kid-friendly and not too expensive. They want to be able to easily travel there and get around once they are there. And they want to provide a personal sense of safety. So they also want good connectivity. So Wi-Fi, self-service, well-developed communication infrastructure. So that also goes towards the good communication standards. They need to have coverage. They need to have the ability to connect. Now, in terms of the demographics of what Fun and Sun families look like, we see that in general, they are in the middle age range and employed full-time. We also see that they generally have a middle to average income, again, using some of that discretionary income on an annual holiday or on some other smaller getaways, but they are looking for affordability. Now, their travel parties are once again spouses and partners, and traveling with their kids, or also possibly with adult relatives sometimes. And finally, their trip duration can be anywhere from short to long. So that concludes the introduction and the detail of the 7 different distinct traveler segments in the updated traveler segmentation. So just to review, we had 7 segments. The first being the outdoor explorers, which make up approximately 21% of the traveler population. We then had we also looked at simplicity lovers, we looked at city trippers, and we looked at culture seekers. All of those were a little bit less than 20% of the Canadian traveler population. We also then looked at the refined globetrotters or the luxury market, and then we looked at two segments that were family segments, including the purpose-driven and the fun and sun most recently. So now that I've concluded the introduction to the 7 distinct updated traveler segments, I'd like to share a little bit more about how Tourism Nova Scotia is targeting our efforts towards these segments. So overall, Tourism Nova Scotia, since, as I mentioned earlier, it was launched in December of 2024, Destination Canada launched its updated traveler segmentation. And since that time, Tourism Nova Scotia has conducted extensive research, both internally, we've also done research externally using our panel, where we have conducted research to understand and identify not only what our core product offerings, who they would be most aligned with, but also where they exist within different markets that we do in fact serve. So what that research has really shown us is that there has been a natural alignment with several product attributes and core travel motivations. And some of that really leans into the novel and authentic experiences, the product attributes such as having compelling tourism attributes such as our natural scenic wonders, the types of landscape that we offer in terms of the views, the cultural and historical elements that we offer here in Nova Scotia, and the variety of really engaging and sometimes challenging attributes of Nova Scotia. So really what we found is that the TNS target segments that we have adopted they do in fact fit the current landscape, and really that's to leverage what we have and what we offer, really to maximize our marketing spending. Now you'll see here on the bottom left hand corner that we have some key markets. So Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, we see that you will see that Tourism Nova Scotia has identified simplicity lovers and city trippers as our core segments of targeted, our primary targets. While for the rest of Canada, the northeastern United States, the United Kingdom, and Germany, Tourism Nova Scotia is focused on outdoor explorers and culture seekers. Now, just to go in a little bit more depth, these again really relate to aligning well with the extensive research that we have conducted, the natural alignment with the product attributes that Nova Scotia offers, and the core travel motivations of these key segments. So, for instance, the city trippers and simplicity lovers are very much looking for that element of a familiar destination, easy to get to. They are close by in Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada. They're familiar with our climate, all of those different things. And while Destination Canada hadn't actually identified segments for Canada, this was one of the research efforts that Tourism Nova Scotia took upon itself to really enhance the offering that we can provide to the province. Now, in terms of internationally and US and overseas, we see that there is alignment with Destination Canada's priority segments for the US, UK, and Germany. And we have done that not only through the research and understanding that what we have does in fact fit those traveler segments, we're also aligned with Destination Canada's global efforts, and that allows us to leverage and elevate those existing opportunities. So it really allows us to leverage the shared resources and also the overall national sector development. So as Destination Canada uses their resources to in fact target outdoor explorers and culture seekers in the US, the UK, and the German markets, Nova Scotia and all of our partners here within the province can take advantage of that leveraging of those resources and really align ourselves with those segments internationally and overseas. Now, the primary segment of simplicity lovers and city trippers, as well as outdoor and explorers and culture seekers based on what key markets we're operating in, it also allows us to leverage and elevate our existing infrastructure opportunities. So what we really needed to make sure of, and what we have planned to do, and as we go through the strategic plan, in aligning with those strategic pillars, it's leveraging the assets, it's leveraging the offerings and the services that we have now, and how we can use those to attract those that are most aligned with what we have to offer. So it's not about, what can we do later? It's really at what do we have that we can currently offer? How does that match up to the markets? And what all of our research has shown consistently is that for Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, the simplicity lovers and city trippers are most aligned to be our primary segments for Tourism Nova Scotia and what we have to offer. And then for the rest of Canada, Northeastern United States, United Kingdom, and Germany, the segments of the outdoor explorers and the culture seekers are very much aligned with what we have to offer and how we can leverage and make greatest use of the investment dollars. So thinking ahead, as I wrap up our time today, I wanted to share a couple of upcoming opportunities with everyone. We are going to, as each of you went through this today, I do appreciate that it was a significant amount of information, introducing you to not only, so refreshing your memory in terms of what traveler segmentation is, and looking at what in fact has changed as it's gone through, and really, deep diving into each of the traveler segments to better understand not only what their names are, but also who they are. We've seen that they've gone down from 9 to 7 segments using that updated research. And now you have the opportunity really to harness those insights that we've provided so that you can look to better understand how you're going to identify your best customers. So as each of you went through today, there was an opportunity for you to provide any questions or comments within the chat, and one of my colleagues was going to bring those all together. Following this webinar, as we come to a close, we will be sending out a follow-up email invitation that is going to, basically, it's going to be to our follow-up webinar that is going to help you identify your organization's target segments. So the name of that, coming up early on in May, is How to Identify Your Best Customer webinar. And it will be taking place on May 13th, 2026, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I will once again be hosting you, and an email invitation will follow, where we're going to have an opportunity within that 2.5-hour time frame to walk you through some of the tools that Destination Canada has created and that Tourism Nova Scotia is leveraging, so that you can actually identify your best segment or your best customer and really make use of that so that you can continue deepening your learning of who these traveler segments are, and also to better understand how you can start tailoring your own initiatives to the segments that are best aligned with your business or your organization's product and service offerings as a destination. Not only do we have the opportunity for you to participate in an upcoming webinar, but I also want you to take the opportunity to connect with a number of different Tourism Nova Scotia resources to guide your traveler segmentation development activities now that it has been updated. So I encourage you to reach out. From the research component, there is myself, and I'm available by email at amanda.tate@novascotia.ca. Heading up the research for traveler segmentation and managing the research here at Tourism Nova Scotia. You're also very welcome to connect with our business development resources, and that's Nick Fry, and his email is nick.fry@novascotia.ca. We also have resources that you can look to connect with in terms of experience development, and that is with Jessica Spooner. And she can also help to leverage your experience development, members of her team, in guiding your traveler segmentation development activities as you incorporate them into any types of experience developments. And she can be reached at jessica.spooner@novascotia.ca. And then we also have Tanya Johnson, who is responsible for the marketing and really able to connect the traveler segmentation development and your marketing activities, and is doing all of these initiatives, and all of these individuals are responsible for very specific and very targeted, helpful resources for you to continue leveraging as you continue to develop your organization and your business. So Tanya Johnson can be reached to connect marketing and traveler segmentation at tanya.johnson@novascotia.ca. And finally, we have Peter Johnson, who operates within the travel trade, and he is able to connect traveler segmentation development activities with you in terms of that travel trade partnerships and how you can go about doing that. And he can be reached at peter.johnson@novascotia.ca. Now, in addition to the upcoming webinar, and of course the opportunity to connect with any of the individuals I've listed here who manage research, business development, experience development, marketing, and traveler trade, you can also reach out to look at doing one-on-one consultations, where if you're looking to develop a further understanding or look at how you can offer this within your business or organization, there is the opportunity to connect one-on-one to talk about what that would look like. And I encourage you to reach out and do that. And finally, you can apply to Tourism Nova Scotia's programs that you will see call-outs coming in the upcoming, it's upon us now for the 26-27 year. As those programs come out, please, of course, you are all quite connected, and you will see those opportunities that come through in terms of application openings for the programs. And I encourage you to take the time to apply to those, and we will be working on an ongoing and go forward basis as we roll out the continued traveler segmentation, the updated traveler segmentation program. Thank you all very much for your time today. I really, once again, thank you. I understand it was a lot of information to take in. I am certainly, I am so encouraged to see the participation that was available today, and know that you will be able to look to this in the future with the webinar that will be uploaded onto our website. Stay tuned for that in the next coming days. And again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to continuing the learning with traveler segmentation on a go-forward basis with you. Thanks again.